What's going on, everybody? In today's video, I'll bring you through my process for drawing this Mancini study on tone paper with graphite and white charcoal. Here's a look at the reference photo that I was using, which is actually an oil painting. I begin with a sharp and light graphite pencil, probably an HB pencil. I start by using only straight lines for this portrait. This helps me to judge the angles of the curves much more accurately. For this particular portrait, I break down the image into three main sections: the hat, the head, and the body. Simplifying your subject like this will make it much easier to draw because you can focus on each part separately. Once I feel good about the proportions and sizes of the large shapes, I continue to draw smaller and smaller shapes. These shapes include the eyes, nose, mouth, and ears of the portrait. Notice I still use straight lines for all these shapes. At this point, I'm still not committed to any of it. I can easily change anything if needed. It's important to take your time and do your best to be accurate in the beginning. You'll save a lot of time in the long run if you try to draw this way. After blocking in the hat, head, facial features, and body, I realized some measurements seemed incorrect. I double-checked the proportions using some quick measurements and found the hat to be a bit too small. If you find a big shape to be incorrect like this in your drawing, do your best to correct it before adding any shading. Once you start the shading process, it'll be very difficult to fix the size or proportions of anything. So after finding that error with the hat, I do my best to draw it correctly compared to the head and the body. At this point, I feel quite good about the proportions of everything. Before I get into the shading phase, let's learn about the sponsor of today's video. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people, probably like yourself. They have many classes on topics including illustration, design, photography, art, video, freelancing, and more. One class I enjoy is called Start Drawing: Techniques for Pencil Portraits by Gabrielle Bricky. She covers all kinds of techniques and exercises for learning to draw portraits. I definitely recommend checking it out. So the cool thing is that there's no ads on any of the videos, and they're always launching new premium classes, and it's actually less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. So the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a free trial of premium membership of Skillshare so you can explore your creativity. Next, I begin the shading phase. Pay attention to your reference and try to break down the values into 3 to 4 main values. I decided to really limit my values in this drawing. It's something I like to do as an exercise and to challenge myself. I limit my values in this sketch by not going very dark at all. I even limit the amount of white charcoal I use as well. This is a fun challenge to try because you can see how realistic something can look, even though the lights and darks are unrealistic overall. By limiting the values within this drawing, it also limits the amount of contrast as well. To me, I really enjoy this kind of look in drawings and sketches. It also simplifies the entire process because I don't have to spend so much time shading to get dark values. I'm quite impatient and lazy when it comes to drawing, so anything to make the process easier and faster, I'm all for it. But this is all personal preference. You may not like this look at all, and that's cool too. This is just one idea to try when it comes to shading portraits. I start by giving the entire sketch one overall shade of darkness for the shadow and dark shapes. Be sure to use light pressure on your pencil when you begin shading. It's easier to darken your shading than it is to lighten it up later on. After I shade one overall tone, I decide to work more on the facial features, which is the focal point. I first focus on the eyes and the eyebrows. This is usually always the focal point for portrait drawings. After that, I work up to the hair and also shade the hat a bit darker as well. This is as dark as I want to go with the hat. I continue working on my focal point, which is the face and facial features. I plan to give a bit more contrast to the face overall, so it stands out a bit. Eventually, I start using some white charcoal to add a few small highlights to the face. I also lightly use this in the background to add some atmosphere to the portrait. add some final touches around the portrait and face, and this little study sketch is complete. So even though I drastically limited the values, I still think I was able to achieve a realistic look overall for this portrait. What do you think of this method for shading portraits? Be sure to let me know down below in the comments. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Take care of yourself. Peace.